Welcome to the Financial Legacy Podcast. I am your host, Maria Ellis. Every episode, I will bring you my perspective and the perspective of my guest on financial planning and financial legacy topics. Here on the Financial Legacy Podcast, we are changing lives one person at a time by creating your own financial plan and financial legacy. To help you create and enjoy your financial success, connect with us at financiallegacy.live for your complimentary consultation. Based on the email requests that I have received regarding my book, Family Business Legacy Plan, the ultimate guide to creating a legacy for your family without paying too much in taxes, today I'm going to share with you a sample of a family legacy plan that I recently created for one of my clients. Please remember that every legacy plan is different based on your own business, your family requirements, and your values. All right? So if you're listening to this podcast, it is probably because you too are experiencing and can relate with the family business legacy issues that concerns most business owners and the experience when they're trying to create a family legacy plan. So I'm going to share with you a business legacy plan that I recently created for and with one of my clients based here in New York City. My client is a co-owner, 85% co-owner of a real estate business. She created a highly successful real estate business like about 15, 20 years ago. She has been consistently recognized for her marketing innovation, operational ingenuity, and sustainable business achievements through various industry and trade association awards. On numerous occasions, her business was one of the top 100 companies that matter most in the real estate industry in New York City. Her company provides real estate services to high net worth individuals and works closely with a team of professionals such as investment advisors, accountants, attorneys that provide a variety of financial services to their clients. These financial services are designed to maintain a sustainable business model to make it easier to locate and to procure a high net worth individuals on a worldwide basis who are looking to diversify their investment portfolios. The company provides unique luxury properties on a sustainable basis with an unmatched efficiency. However, the company has recently faced great industry pressure due to the overall global economic turndown, which in turn has caused my client's historically successful business to falter a little, and therefore is no longer a leader in the industry. When it comes to real estate, the competition in New York is fierce, I know. My client generates on a business model of providing personalized recommendations with goals of enabling investors to increase their overall return on their equity over time. Like most entrepreneurs, my client has a stressful life. She's married, has her husband for 40 years or so. She has two daughters. One is 34 and the other is 36-year-old. She's responsible for the primary care of her husband's 90 years old father, who suffers Parkinson's disease. So as you could see, her family, her obligations, her business, it creates a stressful life. And I know I'm talking to many entrepreneurs and business owners, and they are feeling that same pressure, commitments and whatnot. So obviously, they're grateful. This couple is grateful that they have built, a business. And however, when I talk to them in moments of candor, they often express a feeling that they are missing out on some of their life's pressures. For instance, they like to travel a little more. They like to spend more time with their grandchildren. They have 3 grandchildren, so they don't have enough time to do that. So the obligations, financial obligations to their family and to the stakeholders, to their employees, investors, and suppliers. These are all pressures that this particular client is having to be concerned with, in addition to the fact that they are paying a lot of money in taxes, so which dilutes their income, and it's not a fun thing, right? So one of the biggest challenges also that this particular client has is they need to be able to motivate their employees a little bit more so that the employees could innovate and be more creative now that there is a downturn in the economy, so that they'll be able to continue to be profitable. So as we were talking about, the challenges that the company experience, one of the things that I have recommended to them is to increase their communication, not only with the family members, but also with their employees. And so a good way of doing that was through weekly meetings, formalize weekly meetings where you actually have an agenda and topics of importance that need to be discussed, and they need to be follow-up, and there's need to be a follow-up action item. So in addition, we also created a comprehensive strategic business plan. They have had a business plan that it had not been updated. So we've now sort of like updated the numbers, updated their forecasts in terms of sales and income based on what the current market conditions are. So that was very important to do. Also, we started with the creation of a succession plan, and the ability to be able to identify and implement an advisory board members, and to be able to have not only non-member family part of the board, but also some of the family members to be part of the board so that they could start learning the business and be able to generate new ideas. The advisory board meets on a quarterly basis to monitor the progress of the company to leading to more growth and increased profitability. So after creating the strategic business plan, this client decided to delegate the sales and the customer satisfaction experience to one of their daughters. You may recall in my introduction, I mentioned that this client has 2 daughters. So one of the daughters is taking over, who was actually working with the company on a part-time basis, now decided to work with the company full-time. And she is now in charge of sales and customer satisfaction experience. This client also continued to retain and incentivize key employees. So it was very important for my client to be able to meet with key employees of the organization and, based on the new strategic business plan, be able to start doing follow-up and taking action to enable these people to be properly motivated and properly compensated. This client also has created a what I call contingency plan. Contingency plan is basically it becomes very handy whenever there are unplanned exit events, such as unexpected life events, like the husband or the wife passes on, or they get sick. I mean, these are the kinds of contingency plans that are important to have in place so that when life events happens, they'll know, with a clear mind how best to proceed. So part of the contingency plan, we actually recommended for the owner to purchase a key man insurance and other relevant insurance policies to protect existing private investors and other key business partners who collectively own about 15% of the company. The key man insurance is designed to protect the needs of the business. So, for instance, if my client decides to buy out that 15%, there's going to be cash available. And my encouragement, excuse me, the funding of the company also created what I call a transition plan. A transition plan is a direct result of the weekly meetings that we had with the advisory board. As business owners, you need to be prepared and to identify the next generation of company leaders, properly implement the plan for executive leadership, and communicate long-term vision. A long-term vision and mission for the company to the next generation of leaders, whether they turn out to be family members or non-family members that have industry expertise. So the older daughter, as I mentioned earlier, is also being trained for fiscal and financial matters, because it's very important for a business owner or the people who are going to be taking over the business to be able to understand the numbers of the company, right? The importance of fiscal and financial matters is really their cash flow is really at the heart of the business. The younger daughter is also now becoming more involved with the company, although she's not currently on a full-time basis. She has other commitments and is actually involved with, mergers and acquisitions with another organization. But she's aware, the younger daughter is aware of the, day-to-day operations of the business because of, she receives regular reports and whatnot. So the idea is that for them to be able to be knowledgeable about the business in the event that they decide to work and make the business grow. Now, for my client, it has been extremely important to honestly consider their daughter's lifestyle choices, to evaluate their desire to continue the business legacy, their daughter's skill sets and experiences in order to determine who is best suited for each role within the company and to be able to foster growth accordingly. So it is also my client's intention to create a carefully written employment agreement. They currently have them for the key employees, but they have just started doing it for the daughter who is working on a full-time basis, and for the other daughter who is on a part-time basis. So, because it's important for them to be able to understand where they are in the company, what kind of equity incentives they have, and what are the plans to ensure that future leaders remain within the company during the transition period. Okay? So, as you can see, there are many, many aspects associated with creating a plan, and it all varies depending on where you are, what the nature of your business, whether if you're going to sell it, or whether you are going to have your children take over the company. So one of the things that we also did is to be able to create an advisory board that was composed both of family and non-family members. I think having an advisory board is it's really important, especially as you are a small and a medium-sized company. You are that it's important for the owners to be able to be accountable, right? Not only for themselves, but to outsiders, and in this case, specifically the advisory board. So, as you all know, life is uncertain, and the only thing that is certain is change, right? So currently, we're also working with the appropriate buy-sell agreement as part of the transition plan to ensure retention of the majority equity ownership of the company, and have identified an agreed upon methodology for valuation should my client decide to sell a significant portion of the business. So whether she wants to sell her 85% or whether she wants to buy that 15%, having a methodology for the valuation of your business is important, right? And the methodology, the valuation of the business that is fair, that is done by an outside party, independent party, based on the company's cash flow, sales, income, legacy, and whatnot, right? Goodwill. So at this point, it should be noted that this client would not have been able to create a legacy plan alone. And in addition to my involvement, we have had assistance of various trusted advisors, such as attorneys, accountants, tax accountants, insurance consultants, investment advisors, with experience in the business and experience in succession planning. Is very important. You, as a small and medium-sized company who is not familiar with all the intricacies of creating such a plan, to make sure that you have trusted advisors that are going to be able to help you create something that is able to provide value to you and to your family. So at this point, people often ask me, when is the right time to start thinking about succession planning and preparing for a family business transition? I mean, many business owners, they are so focused in working their business and making their business profitable that oftentimes they it's their baby, so they really don't want to relinquish control of the company. So, people in their 60s, they will say, when is a good time? The 60s, the 50s, the 70s? Well, it really depends, right? So as I started earlier in the conversation, each plan is uniquely to you, to your business, to your family requirements, and your values. So there are many opinions on this matter as to when is the right time to start thinking about succession planning and family legacy. But it has been my experience that working with entrepreneurs that they cannot easily conceive of transferring power and control of the company assets until it's almost too late. They often are forced to do that because they get sick or there is an unplanned event. So, business owners who do not plan for transition are often faced with the less than appealing option of selling their business for much less than is true value, and sometimes even closing the business, right? Because they might be the person who the business revolves around them, and if something happens to the person, they get sick or they pass on, there's the value, most of the value is no longer there, right? So if you don't train people correctly, if you don't have a plan, an exit plan, if you haven't planned for, life events, sometimes that may happen. So, My experience has been that those business owners who plan carefully can realize the value of their life work, either because they're selling their business or they're passing on the business to the next generation. And they're happily able to see their business continuity. If you're selling the business and have a well-defined process for the valuation of the business, that is really crucial to ensure the continuity of your lifestyle, of the owner's lifestyle, because there's going to be some cash flow there that is coming their way, right? So it's not easy for a business entrepreneur who has created and guided the company for so many years to seriously commit to sharing responsibilities with the next generation. But it must be done. It must be done to maximize the value of the business. So if you're hearing me, if you're listening to me, and you're trying to decide whether or not you want to start planning, I highly recommend you do it. Be committed to it, all right? And work with advisors to help you. So when you're creating a succession plan, it includes working with trusted advisors. Creating a timetable is important to have a timetable to identify positions that are going to be needed to be fulfilled, both internal as well as external. These positions could be filled with either family or non-family members, right? So succession planning also is very important to be able to work with key players in your organization and even with stakeholders, all right? So I hope that these ideas will help you as you start thinking about creating your family business legacy plan that meets your overall life objectives. Thank you for tuning into the Financial Legacy Podcast. Here with me, Maria Ellis. To learn more about how to work with me, go to financiallegacy.live. Here on the Financial Legacy Podcast, we're changing lives one person at a time to help you create and enjoy your financial success. Connect with us at financiallegacy.live for your complimentary consultation. Thank you.
In providing answers, neither Maria Ellis nor the Financial Legacy Podcast and guest speakers are acting as certified financial planners, advisors, certified financial analysts, CPAs, economists, accountants, or lawyers. Neither Maria Ellis or the Financial Legacy Podcast and guest speakers make any recommendations as to any specific securities or investments. All content is for informational and general purposes only and does not constitute as financial or legal advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and financial advisors regarding your particular situation. Neither Maria Ellis nor Financial Legacy Podcast and guest speakers accept any responsibility for any loss that may arise from accessing or reliance from any information in this podcast. And to the extent permitted by law, we exclude all liabilities for any loss or damages derived directly or indirectly arising from the use of the information.